The Jungkook shakes his head in denial, biting his bottom lip. No. No, I'm not gonna be locked up here. No, listen. Andy clicks his tongue, and his tone becomes more inimical. I'm taking a risk too, okay? And all this, by the way, to cover your always late ass. So can you just fuck my help and say thank you, huh? If it wasn't for me, you would be fired a long time ago. Now, such a generosity. Jungkook snorts. I didn't ask for your help. Oh, okay then. And he puts on a smile. So should I close the door, and you'll go rub your Jungkook frowns, pushing his shoulder. Fine. Just come back and unlock me. Are you sure no one will come here, Mr. Kim? Didn't even intend to come here today, Andy nods him confidently. And no one else is allowed, only I have the keys. I even opened the office for the cleaners myself. Don't worry, I'll keep an eye on this hallway if possible. If possible, Jungkook raises an eyebrow. You know what I mean? Instead of answering, the guy pushes him deeper into the bathroom. Try not to linger. I'm waiting for your message, okay? And he disappears from the office, leaving only the click of the lock on the other side of the door. Jungkook looks around the bathroom again. It looks cold and empty, as it probably should be, and this does not give him any relief. There is blurry sense that he's doing something illegal, and he does not like it at all. Quickly taking his clothes off he has been wearing all day, Jungkook shudders as an army of chills runs down his spine. He enters the shower, immediately turning on the water, and shudders again when the icy flow hits him in the first seconds. It is replaced by the hot one, then completely turning into steam. Jungkook throws his head back, letting the too hot water seep into every cell of his body. He feels so tired. He feels how the intermittent sleep of several hours, collected throughout the whole day, affects him. Feels like he just wants to relax and find himself in his bed, and it would be even better to sleep in it for a good 10 hours. But he does not have time to think about himself, so Jungkook reaches over to the shelf, grabs a few disposables, and starts washing his own body. He must be clean and smell good if he wants the guests to enjoy his dance. Especially if it is private, because this is his main earnings. And if someone does not like something, they simply will not buy him next time. So Jungkook does everything to avoid it. After dealing with the body and hair in 10 or 15 minutes, Jungkook begins to wash off the amassed foam. He squeezes his eyes shut, his hand, and he feels like he would not refuse a relaxation right now, else his shower. In his boss shower, pulling a towel off the shelf, he begins to dry his hair, trying to dry it as much as possible, and then wraps a snow-white terry cloth around his hips. The boy goes to the mirror, wiping it from the steam with his hand, and looks at his own reflection. Even cosmetics, probably, will not hide the fatigue and the desperate need for sleep that are on his face today. After rubbing his eyes, which are so eager to close, he shakes his head slightly, chasing away the relaxation caused by the hot water, and exhales noisily. Come on, Jungkook, put your shit together, he mutters to his own reflection. Dance today, and then we'll go home and change to go to study, he recalls, suddenly realizing that he won't be able to sleep again in the next many hours. Except for the miserable 30 minutes while sitting in subway car. He exhales hopelessly. Jungkook shakes his head, putting it down, and squeezes his eyes shut several times to keep himself from crying. It's just the tiredness, he repeats silently, comforting himself. The boy takes a few deep breaths and tries to calm his fluttering heart as he suddenly curses from the noise in the office. Andy slips through his head. Andy came to hurry him up, Jungkook thinks, and this is the most obvious option, because, as he remembers, no one else has the keys. He pauses, listening to the footsteps and a male voice speaking behind the wall, but the sound is so muffled that Jungkook can hardly belongs to. His legs refuse to move off the floor and the young boy swallows loudly, and then tries to hear at least something. But as the voice grows louder and the tone gets angrier, Jungkook realizes what a trap he has fallen into. Damn, he hisses, reflexively moving away from the door a few steps, because behind it the cursing is so loud that it becomes even scary. "I'll fire you the hell out, you piece of shit," the man shouts, and Jungkook now very clearly recognizes in this voice his boss, Mr. Kim. "I'll come tomorrow and fire you all, you got it?" "Why?" "You are asking me why?" "Because I'm not going to get a call from my business partner again and hear the complaint about how in my hotel, which promises the best, he was served as in a roadside diner. If you cannot do your job, Sullivan, I will replace you," the man yells, and his voice is so deep and confident that it makes Jungkook's blood run cold. He would not want to get in his way. "Well, yeah, like that's not what you're doing right now." A voice inside laughs at him, and Jungkook covers his mouth with his hand to keep himself from making a sound. He backs up to the shelf where he left his things and starts looking through them in the search for his phone. Andy has to come and save him right now because Jungkook didn't plan on dying tonight, okay? He did not plan. And certainly not by the hands of his enraged boss. "I do not want to hear it anymore. You hope that you will get fired with at least some kind of recommendation, and you will not fly out like a cork without the opportunity to get at least somewhere else in the hospitality area. I hope I made that clear, come on," Jungkook whispers nervously, going through his things for the 10th time, but there is still no phone. He refuses to believe that he really left it in the dressing room. He could not set himself up like that. He could not. Jungkook feels his hands and all of his internal organs shaking as he realizes he is only meters away from his boss's wrath and freaking getting fired. He lets out a noisy exhale and wishes to calm his pounding heart, which is about to break his ribs. Jungkook listens, standing still, and hears Mr. Kim end the conversation as he holds a man sighs tiredly somewhere not far from the door. He keeps silent for a few seconds, and Jungkook hears nothing else except for his increased pulse and short nervous breaths. He freezes when he hears footsteps approaching the door and prays to all the gods so that Andy, like in the movies, would barge into Mr. Kim's office right now and distract him, and preferably take him away from here so Jungkook could escape and promise himself to never approach this hallway ever again. But he's not in the movie, and fortune is definitely not his friend, and the next second he sees the door handle lower, and in a moment, the door opens. Jungkook's heart pounds. He feels his insides shrink and how his stomach wants to spit out everything it had today. The boy closes his eyes and lowers his head, hoping somehow miraculously to stay alive. "And what the hell is that?" the man growls, causing Jungkook to tighten up even more than he could possibly have. "Mr. Kim. I'm sorry, please, I'm sorry, I don't," Jungkook starts to mutter, still afraid to look up at him, and Taehyung cuts him off. "Stop, no, shut up," he lets out a tired sigh, raising his hand and calling for silence. "What are you doing here?" "Obviously, took a shower, Mr. Kim," Jungkook admits like a messy kitten, muttering under his nose. "Yeah, well, okay, His tone seems a little calmer now. Well, Jungkook thinks, maybe he'll get lucky and today he won't be killed, only fired. And why did you do that in my office? May I ask? Mr. Kim, I'm sorry, this is Andy. Hi. I was late, and Andy, the shower was broken in the dressing room, and I couldn't make it on time, and Andy, the manager, he said he could settle it, and he brought me here, and I really didn't mean to, Mr. Kim. I'm sorry. He purses his lips, not noticing how he is getting tighter even though Taehyung does not even yell at him. Please, forgive me. I told him it was a bad idea. And he said I would get fired if I went home, and I was already late and I need this job, so he stops, sighing, and realizes that the man, probably, does not need any of his silly explanations. I'm sorry, sir, that was a mistake. I know I shouldn't have come here. I'm sorry. I didn't take anything from you, I swear. Except for the Jungkook bites his lip nervously, glancing at a small shelf where the basket of disposable shampoos and soaps is. I used your soap. I'm sorry. Taehyung watches him with his hands in his trouser pockets. A grin touches the left corner of his lips as he sees the boy staring at the floor in embarrassment. The man lets out a chuckle and shakes his head. Are you done with your explanations? Yes, sir. Well, he takes a step forward, shutting the bathroom door behind him, and Jungkook is afraid to even breathe. Please, Mr. Kim, please don't fire me. I'm sorry this happened. I promise this will never happen again. Jungkook, right? The man asks as he approaches, and Jungkook nods hesitantly. Okay, Jungkook, he drawls and speaks surprisingly too calmly as he slowly walks a bit closer. I have just fired a dozen of people who had almost ruined my hotel's reputation, he explains measuredly, grinning. But you must have heard this conversation, am I right? I'm sorry, sir, I didn't mean to eavesdrop. Forgive me, be grateful it was not something important. Taehyung shrugs, standing right in front of him, and Jungkook still does not dare to raise his head, staring at his bare feet on the cold tile. Or you would have to be shot. What? The boy twitches, finally looking up to see Taehyung break into a smile and soft chuckles. You are so easy to scare, aren't you? Well, Jungkook, the man looks down at him confidently, believe it or not, I have no desire to fire anyone else today. So, he pauses, looking at him carefully, and touches his fingertips to boy's cheek, wiping off a few drops of water that have fallen from his hair. I think we can somehow settle this without firing. Really? Jungkook raises his little eyebrows, looking at the man with hope and slight fear in his huge blue eyes, and the man smirks at this, an expression on the boy's face. He wonders if Jungkook's face will look the same when Taehyung enters him for the first time. Look, you are standing here just in a towel after running away from me yesterday to dance for someone else. The man twists a strand of Jungkook hair possessively around his finger as if he's done it 100 times, and Jungkook feels something unpleasant pulling in his stomach, exactly the same as it was last night, when this man touched him for the first time.